why is it important? And it's important for a few reasons under those two categories. In terms of doing things right, we know that if you integrate a gender perspective, this means that you are conducting a gender analysis, you're understanding the differentiated needs of the communities that you're serving, and therefore you're more able to respond proactively and effectively and efficiently to their differentiated security needs. So, for example, if you don't conduct gender analyses of who in the community is more likely to be targeted by certain crimes and where and how, it's going to be very difficult to challenge the incidence rate and to be able to respond appropriately. In terms of doing the right thing, we know that obviously gender equality as part of human rights is a key principle and pillar of effective security sector governance. And what that means is that if you have a diverse and representative police service, because you're actually integrating gender, and part of that is recognizing that women should have equal access to employment opportunities, to leadership opportunities, and indeed to be seen as and to be trained to be as effective in those leadership positions as men, then you're also going to be more likely to be able to access, communicate well, and respond to the population's very diverse needs in a more effective manner. And when you look at what this looks like, when you're considering what a police service that does integrate a gender perspective and promote gender equality is going to look like, it's going to be a service that is service-oriented, focused on crime prevention in partnership with communities in all their diversity. And what this means is respecting that community engagement will provide different insights, will provide different expertise and understandings of the security needs of the community in a way that the police can actually harness and to use in a way that certainly fulfills the security needs of the community. It also means that police are able to recognise the real harm that might be suffered as a result of crimes or escalating crime cycles of violence, and they're able to respond to that. So in this way, they treat all different types of crimes seriously based on their level of gravity, and they don't have implicit biases that might inform their decision making so that they don't respond to domestic violence incidents seriously because they see it as a private family matter. When what we know is that domestic violence incidents do escalate over time in repeating spirals of violence. We also know that many homicides are a result of domestic violence, and that those escalating cycles of violence gave us the forewarning to know that homicide was something that could be, in the future of these cases. So in early police intervention to break that cycle of violence is absolutely essential to preventing murder, essentially. And that is obviously a real indicator of how important it is to both integrate a gender perspective and promote gender equality in the way in which you work. I think the final thing I'd mention is that when you have an organisational culture that values diversity, that practices active inclusion, then you also mean that you model positive behaviours, including of masculinities. We know that many police services around the world are predominantly going to be men, occupied by male officers. And what that can often do is create certain cultures of masculinities that are exclusive, that don't value a community-oriented policing service that women are going to be able to do equally, if not better, than men. Equally well, if not better than men. And so I think in this final section I just mentioned that there are some really interesting examples around the world of this. One of them is a police and civil society partnership for domestic violence training in Kazakhstan, where indeed it was the NGO that was able to identify what the needs were and then work with the police to be able to respond better. And what was remarkable there is that the police were receptive to this type of partnership and were able to integrate that into their regular service provision. And then secondly, masculinity training for the Pakistani police, where an NGO was able to actually partner with the police and explore how different forms of masculinity actually hindered the effectiveness of the police and how alternative forms of masculinity might in turn be able to enable the police to perform their services more effectively. So finally, in conclusion, I would just say, as I started, that integrating a gender perspective and promoting gender equality is not just about doing the right thing, it is also about doing things right. Thank you.